Hey there. I'm going to read a little section of this book called "It's So Good, Don't Even Try It Once: Heroin in Perspective." This was published in 1972, and there's a talking point that goes around that you hear constantly, which is, "Oh, now heroin isn't just in the ghetto, it's not just with people of color, it's the white kids in the suburbs are using it now. All of a sudden, this is a new thing, new phenomenon, and it's moved there." And I used heroin for the first time in the winter of 94, 95, my first year in college. And I've sort of been aware of the news and the public discourse on heroin and some other drugs since then. So we're now thinking about over 22 years, and constantly over these 22 years, I've seen this talking point that it's not just the people of color, it's not just the people in the ghettos, it's the white kids in the suburbs. This is a brand new phenomenon, and it just isn't. And so I just want to give some historical perspective on that. Just going to read this and leave that there. So this is from a book published in 1972 called "It's So Good, Don't Even Try It Once: Heroin in Perspective." Chapter 1. It is no longer buried in black and Puerto Rican ghettos, no longer confined to the ignorant poor. Heroin is in the suburbs, and white parents are beginning to know the impotent rage of fear and despair that black parents have lived with for decades. The call from school, from the police, from a hospital somewhere, the call that rips you from complacency and tells you the cold, neon street corner truth. Your kid has been arrested. Your kid is a junkie. Your daughter, the lovely, clear-eyed child who is going to marry a nice, attractive, sensible, hard-working young man who is going to give you grandchildren and comfort in your old age. Well, she ran off with a greasy slob on a motorcycle. When he got tired of fucking her, he split. So now she is turning tricks on the street, hustling for enough bread to cop a balloon. A balloon is a package of heroin. And the guys who wrote this from San Francisco, West Coast heroin, is going to be black tar sold in a balloon. Back to this. Or maybe your son, who was decorated in Vietnam, has come home from the war acting strange, and you find the rig in his drawer one day, contrasting sickeningly with the model cars and airplanes still on his shelves, the plaid bedspread he picked out when he was 10, and the smiling graduation picture on his wall. Maybe they're your kids we have here at the Haight-Ashbury Medical Clinic's heroin detox unit. We don't know all their real names. A lot of them sign in as Jane Doe or John Smith, and they show up at our door, sometimes up to 500 of them a week, OD'd or comatose or catatonic or just plain sick. You won't see their names in the newspaper either, unless you're a parent of one of the 1,046 kids who died of heroin overdose in New York last year. This is we're told about the overdose epidemic right now, which that fact is really interesting. Because it's like the same figures today, and we're saying that what's happening today has never happened before. 76 died in San Francisco last year. Or maybe a friend of yours is one of the 60,000 GIs snorting, shooting, smoking junk in Vietnam. Is it really 2.5%? Or 4%? Or 16%? No one really seems to know. Some of the GI junkies die nice, peaceful deaths because they are so high up there on smack that they never knew what hit them. Maybe they are the lucky ones. The ones who are still alive back here in the States have to spend every waking hour in the hustle for more junk. Malnutrition, venereal disease, and hepatitis are quite familiar to them. Their eyes no longer mirror the hopes of mom and dad. Instead, they reflect the cynicism and the ravages of a lifestyle never imagined by you, their parents, who thought you had given them everything. You can retreat into a scotch and soda, you can retreat into the psychiatrist's office, or you can retreat into despair. But the problem still remains. You can blame the pushers, you can blame the police, you can blame the war, the schools, the government, or you can even blame yourself. But the problem, although it may never become this personal to you, still remains. We're in the midst of a heroin epidemic, the likes of which the credit card comfort of the white middle class has never known. In the history of the recorded epidemiology of drug use, there has never been a concentrated pattern of multiple drug abuse like that seen and documented in the Haight-Ashbury section of San Francisco from 1967 to the present. The present being 1972 when this book was written. And I found one of the best ways for me to understand addiction and the concepts around it and everything, and drugs in general, is like some history, some historical view, because it's so easy to be stuck on what you're looking at right now. And what we're looking at right now, they say this is the first time it's ever happened. Particularly that point about, it's the kids in the suburb and the white kids now for the first time ever. It's never happened before. This was printed 45 years ago. And it's literally the exact same talking points we hear today. And that I've heard for the past 22 years, since I've been aware of the discourse on heroin. It's not the first time. And plenty of people have been using it. So what is the significance of this stupid talking point? There's always going to be people in every class who want to use drugs or alcohol and want to use them recklessly for whatever reason. It's not because heroin is particularly cheap or potent today, or because the doctors are giving out more OxyContin today. It's not new. I guess that's all I want to say. And we're told that there's something new and unique about it now. I don't know what you'll learn if you take that point, but you'll learn something. Think about it. Thanks for watching. Bye.